day 60. Holy cow, this is the last day of this completed module. I am so incredibly proud if you finished your book and now you're finishing up the first round of edits. We are going to be looking at the last page and the last page only. This is usually in the denouement because we need power position, this last page of the book. So this needs to resonate emotionally. Whatever the hero's wound was in the old life, and we're looking at the old life, the very beginning old life, we need to usually bookend that. We need whatever his problem was there, whatever the setup was there, we want to finish that out here. Because remember, the greater the distance between the setup and payoff, the more it pays off and resonates. And sometimes you have to hit that note a few times during the book, but we're looking at the very beginning to the very end. How can you bookend it? If we start with him playing a fiddle, he should probably end playing a fiddle. We want some kind of clear indication that he is still the human being he used to be, but now he's the hero of lore and he has been healed. That's what this last page is about. And certainly the last line, we're going to talk a lot about this last line. It is huge. I know you hate it when I say that. And I know I have to be super vague about it because I don't know your story. What I can tell you is this is a huge emotional moment for the reader. This is the last thing you're going to leave the reader with from this book. And it would be nice if it was memorable. It doesn't have to be. Lord knows I've written some books where it wasn't, but it needs to wrap up this book. This is the last line of the book. I remember I read a book, I can't remember, it was about some kind of struggle in ancient Britain against the Romans. And the last line of the book, I remember the last line of the book. Can't tell you the title or the author, but I know that last line, which was candle's flame flickered and then the wind blew it out. That was the freaking end of the novel. It was a tragedy, obviously. Is that this whole uprising ended in tragedy, which I wasn't too thrilled with as a reader. But by God, that last line had such incredible impact. I remember to this day, and I probably read it when I was a teenager. So if you pull something like that out, that's fantastic. But what we really need this last line to do is put the nail at the end. We have to make sure that this story is sealed. Now, if you're writing a series, you may have a few questions still open-ended. And if you are going to write a sequel, then many times this last paragraph and last line is setting up that sequel, is a tease, actually, to the next book. So I always make sure that I know where my book ends, where my denouement ends, and where my teaser for my next book begins. Now, if you don't have another book, then this should really seal. All the questions should be sealed at this point. And this last line should really epitomize your hero's healing and where he's at right now. If you have a series, that line may be several paragraphs up, where we kind of seal the denouement, seal the epilogue, seal the story. But then move into a little bit of a teaser. I had a short story that I honestly thought was going to be sealed. It was the end. It's the short story that wrapped up the rest of the series. And then a character came and said, "You have to save us all." I don't know where that came from. Some character burst in. So I sealed the denouement, but then I had this other scene that led to obviously a new trilogy. I don't know when to write that. I need to stop coming up with new projects to write, but sometimes that happens. So you have to make sure if you are going to have a sequel, you still have to satisfy in this book. You cannot leave too many questions open. You cannot leave too much to chance and to guessing. All right. Make sure this last line, if it is a standalone book, completely seals the book and we know exactly where the hero is. If you are looking towards writing a series or a trilogy, seal this book. Make sure you emotionally satisfy your reader and then give a little bit of a tease to the sequel. All right, this is it. It is shocking. Now, I'm going to have a 30-day paid editing solely. It is going to be for anybody, for you guys, or for anybody coming in that just wants editing. I am going to be going over some new and different things. I just didn't have time to do them in this amount of time. So I would recommend that you maybe take a peek into them, especially for your second round. You've gone through this first round. There will be some repeated information in there, but there's also going to be some super unique information to the next editing module. I thank you so much, and I hope and pray that this helped you in your quest to write your first book. Fantastic. Go enjoy yourself. Go write your own denouement and go have a good time and luxuriate in the feeling of finishing a book and finishing your first round of edits.